For those who have been evacuated or under evacuation order right across the Kootenays in the interior and here in the south, our thoughts are with you. Our resources are behind you. Minister Farnworth yesterday declared a provincial state of emergency. We have all of the resources we need on the ground. Of course, if we had more, we would take them, that being firefighters from other jurisdictions. We have Quebec firefighters on the ground now, New Brunswick on the way. 100 Mexican firefighters who we depend on annually are on their way. They'll be here in a number of days. And we are also working with our other international partners, the United States, Australia, to make sure as this season continues that we have the resources that we need. But for those who are living through yet another horrific fire season, this is a graphic reminder of how climate change is with us, not just intermittently, but all the time. Whether it's successive difficult fire seasons or floods or the heat dome, which is the first we've experienced, which I'm hopeful will be the last, but that's not the evidence that we're seeing on the horizon. We all have to hang together as British Columbians and follow the lead of emergency personnel, take guidance, take direction. If there's an evacuation order, it is not made lightly. And for those who believe that they should stay on their property and fight the good fight, better course of action is to take direction from those who are watching the fires, not from their fence line, but from above and using technologies and personnel to protect people. We don't bring forward these orders lightly. We do it because it's in the best interest of British Columbians.
Lisa, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Canfor has announced it's suspending its operations due to supply problems caused by wildfires. I'm wondering whether you can comment on the economic effect that these wildfires are having on the province and what might lie ahead.
Well, certainly the forest sector is going to be slowed down by the fires, no question about that. You will know that lumber prices have been at historic highs, and that's not a couple of percent above normal. It's massively above normal. So Canfor and other forest companies have done very well in the past number of months, and a break now to give relief on the land base, to provide the resources that we need, potentially equipment from those companies to put to the fire, is what happens almost annually when we have difficult seasons. So I'm not surprised that Canfor has decided to shut down. Will that have an impact in the short term? Of course it will. But again, these are quarterly businesses that table their profits, and you would have seen record high profits by major BC forest companies in the first quarter. I suspect we'll see that in the second quarter. We need to make sure that those benefits to those companies flow down to workers, to communities, and of course also to the province, so that we can provide the services that we need critically right now to put out fires. So these are cyclical events, and there goes a helicopter. These are cyclical events that the sector is always prepared for, and there is a relationship between industry with the ministry and communities to make sure we're all working together, and that's what I expect, and that's what's been happening.
Next question is from Richard Zussman, Global News.
Premier, tourism operators in the Okanagan were no doubt counting on this summer to bounce back from, wineries to other destinations. The fires will have an impact on that. Also, tourism operators in Metro Vancouver and the Capital Region are counting on this summer. Are you concerned that the declaration of a state of emergency will keep visitors out of areas that are even not impacted by the fire because of this idea that BC is now under a state of emergency?
Well, we were under a state of an emergency for a year and a couple of months. And we still had people coming. You'll recall that I was urging people to not come, but they came anyway. I get your question, and I understand that obviously smoke in the Okanagan is going to have a dampening effect on tourism. I do know that Vancouver Island, I was watching, I think it might have even been your outlet last night, talking about people who have come to the island because they've chosen to come to Victoria and points north rather than go to their traditional destinations because of the fire. fires. But I think people understand that this is an extraordinary time. We've come through a global pandemic. We're in the grip of climate change that we can see and feel and smell every day. And I think most people will make rational decisions for themselves and for those businesses that are affected. We have been there for over a year and a half to make sure that we're stabilizing them, making sure that they have the capital that they need to keep operating, and we'll keep doing that. We have made sacrifices as British Columbians, businesses, communities, individuals for the past year and a half, and we have more sacrifices to make as we come through what is another potentially historic fire season.